The desperate call. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Alara approached the central podium. Her luminescent skin, normally a calm blue, pulsed with anxious purple undertones. 300 representatives from across the galactic. Confederation watched as the Astrari diplomats' four slender arms trembled slightly. Honored members of the Council, Ilara began, her melodic voice wavering, I come before you with grave news. The Krell Dominion has destroyed our outer colonies. Billions of my people are dead or displaced. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Everyone knew of the Krell, a species of ruthless conquerors who had systematically expanded their territory for centuries. Their exoskeletal bodies and hive-mind military structure made them formidable opponents. Elder Zorax, the ancient Volari representative whose species had brokered peace for millennia, leaned forward on his gravity chair. What help do you seek? Ambassador? Our defense fleet has been decimated, Ilara replied, activating a holographic display that showed burning worlds and shattered ships. Our weapons cannot penetrate their advanced shielding. Without immediate intervention, the Astrari will cease to exist within 3 lunar cycles. The chamber erupted in concerned whispers. No Confederation species possessed the military might to challenge the Krell directly. Most had evolved on peaceful worlds, developing technology for coexistence and exploration rather than warfare. There is one option, Elder Zorax said, his gravelly voice cutting through the noise. The humans. The chamber fell instantly silent. The Deathworlders, gasped Representative Nix, her feathery crest bristling. You cannot be serious. Their military capabilities are too extreme, called another. Elder Zorax raised a gnarled hand for silence. Yes, humans evolved on what we classify as a death world, a planet that tried to kill them daily with predators, disasters, and disease. This forced them to become formidable warriors. He turned to Ilara. Since joining our Confederation 20 cycles ago, humans have kept their military power restrained within their solar system. But they signed the Mutual Defense Treaty. If you formally request aid, they must respond. Ilara's eyes widened. Every spacefaring race had heard stories about humans. Their endurance, aggression, and tactical ingenuity were legendary and terrifying. Most species viewed them with a mixture of fascination and dread. I will request their aid, Ilara decided, her voice firmer now. My people have no other hope. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderbolt, Earth's newest battlecruiser. At 38, Chen had the steady gaze of a veteran officer with a reputation for unorthodox tactics that had earned her both commendations and reprimands. Captain, called Lieutenant Reyes from the communications station, priority transmission from Fleet Command. Chen nodded. Transfer to my ready room. In the privacy of her office, Chen activated the secure channel. Admiral William Jackson, head of the United Earth Defense Force, appeared on screen. Captain Chen, he said without preamble, we've received a formal request for military assistance from the Astrari Federation. They're under attack by the Krell Dominion. Chen's expression remained neutral, but her mind raced. The Krell were the most aggressive species in known space, with technology even humans respected. The Galactic Council has approved our intervention, Jackson continued. Your ship will be the first to respond. Just the Thunderbolt? Chen asked, one eyebrow raised. Jackson's face remained impassive. For now. Intelligence suggests we're facing a significant threat. The Thunderbolt will assess the situation while we prepare additional resources. Chen understood the unspoken message. For 20 years, humanity had shown the galaxy only a fraction of its military capabilities, a diplomatic choice after joining the Confederation. Send me all available intelligence on Krell military capabilities, Chen said. We'll set course immediately. There's one more thing, Jackson added. The Confederation fears what will happen when we demonstrate our full potential. Proceed with caution. but show them what humans can do. When Chen returned to the bridge, her officers could tell something had changed just by her posture. "Orders, Captain?" asked Commander Raj Sharma, her executive officer for the past 4 years. "Battle stations," Chen announced. "Navigation, set. Course for the Astrari home system, maximum speed. Communications, Signal Earth Command, Operation Swift Response is a go." As her crew rushed to their positions, Chen activated the main tactical display. A star map showed Krell fleet movements cutting deep into Astrari territory like a knife. "Sir," Sharma asked quietly, "are we really going to war?" Chen studied the display, her face illuminated by the glowing red markers of Krell warships. "For 20 years, we've kept our true capabilities hidden. We've been patient. But now a peaceful species has asked for our help." She turned to face her bridge crew. "The galaxy thinks they know what humans are capable of. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Outside the viewports, space distorted as the Thunderbolt accelerated to faster-than-light speeds. It left, behind the safety of human territory, racing toward a conflict that would forever change humanity's place among the stars. On the Astrari capital world of Lumina, Ambassador Alara watched the sky with growing anxiety. The Defense Ministry had informed her that a human vessel had responded to their plea and would arrive within days, but a single ship seemed woefully inadequate against the Krell armada approaching their system. "Do you really believe they can help us?" asked Taylor, her senior advisor. "They must," Alara replied softly. "No other species has ever successfully repelled a Krell invasion." Taylor's skin darkened with doubt. "The humans claim to have only 30 warships in their entire fleet. Even if they send them all, they've never revealed their true strength," Ilara interrupted. "Elder Zorax told me privately that human diplomatic records are carefully curated. They show the galaxy only what they wish to be seen." "Why would they hide their capabilities?" "Fear," Ilara said simply. "Humans know how they're perceived. Creatures from a death world, evolved through violence and competition. If other species knew their true power—" She left the thought unfinished. Their conversation was interrupted by a junior diplomat rushing into the chamber. "Ambassador, our outer system sensors have detected a ship dropping out of FTL at the edge of our system." "The humans?" Alara asked, her pulse quickening. "Yes, but—" The aide hesitated. "It's just one vessel." Ilara moved to the observation deck where military officials had gathered. The main screen showed a sleek, dark vessel approaching Lumina. Unlike the ornate ships of most Confederation species, the human craft was angular and utilitarian, with weapon ports clearly visible along its hull. "The UES Thunderbolt is requesting permission to establish orbit," announced a communications officer. "Granted," replied Defense Minister Crone. He turned to Alara, his expression grave. "I expected more than a single ship." Before Ilara could respond, the sensor officer called out in alarm. "Multiple Krell warships detected entering the system. 17 vessels approaching from the outer planets." Crone's shoulders slumped. "We're doomed. One human ship against 17 Krell battlecruisers." On the main screen, the Thunderbolt suddenly accelerated, moving to intercept the Krell fleet rather than taking a defensive position near Lumina. "What are they doing?" Crone asked, bewildered. "They're outnumbered 17-1. Ilara watched, the human ship with a mixture of hope and dread. "They're doing what humans do best," she whispered. "They're fighting against impossible odds." Aboard the Krell command vessel Subjugator, High Commander Vexar observed the approaching human ship with 6 eyes that blinked independently of each other. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights as he processed tactical information through his neural implants. "A single vessel?" He clicked to his second-in-command. "The Astrari defenses are even weaker than our intelligence suggested." "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "the ship is of human design." Vexar's mandibles twitched with interest. The Krell had never directly engaged humans, though they had studied them from afar. Deathworlders, he mused. Finally, a worthy challenge after these simple conquests. The communication system chimed, and a human face appeared on the main screen. Captain Chen's expression was calm, almost disinterested. "Attention, Krell forces!" Her deep voice resonated across the bridge. "This system is under the protection of the United Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Vexar," chittered what passed for laughter among his kind. "One ship against 17? Your species has a reputation for bravery. Human. But this seems like suicide." Chen's expression didn't change. "This is your only warning." The transmission ended. Vexar turned to his weapons officer. "Target their vessel. Let's see how these legendary Deathworlders fare in actual combat." The Krell ships fired first. Energy, beams streaking across space toward the lone human vessel. To Vexar's surprise, the Thunderbolt didn't attempt to evade. Instead, previously hidden defense systems activated, creating overlapping energy fields that absorbed and dispersed the Krell attack. "Their shields are unlike anything in our database," reported the tactical officer with alarm. "No damage registered." Vexar leaned forward, suddenly uneasy. "What else have they been hiding?" The answer came swiftly as the Thunderbolt launched its counterattack. Instead of energy weapons like most advanced species used, the human ship fired hypervelocity projectiles. Massive. Tungsten rods accelerated to near-relativistic speeds. The first Krell vessel had no time to react before 3 such projectiles tore through its shields and hull, leaving it dead in space. "Impossible," Vexar hissed as a second ship suffered. "Critical damage. Recalibrate shields. Evasive pattern delta." But the human vessel moved with unexpected agility, executing maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. It targeted Krell ships seemingly at random, preventing them from establishing a coordinated defense. "Their attack pattern is completely unpredictable," the tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "Our targeting systems cannot lock onto their vessel." Vexar studied the tactical display with growing comprehension. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. Look at their maneuvers, they're three-dimensional." Most spacefaring races, including the Krell, approached space combat as they would surface warfare, essentially fighting on a flat plane. The human vessel exploited this limitation, attacking from above, below, and every angle in between. A third Krell ship exploded. Vexar made a decision that would change the course of the war. "All vessels, strategic withdrawal. Return to staging area immediately." His second-in-command stared in shock. "Withdraw? We've never retreated from battle." "We've never faced Deathworlders before," Vexar replied grimly. "Their neural architecture processes combat situations differently than ours. Our tactical algorithms cannot adapt quickly enough." As the Krell fleet activated their FTL drives, Vexar watched the human vessel grow smaller on the view screen. One ship had forced 17 to retreat. But it wasn't just any ship, it was human. For the first time in his long career, Vexar felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. The Krell had conquered dozens of worlds through superior technology and numbers, but this encounter suggested they had finally met a species who might be their match. "Send word to the Dominion," he ordered. "Tell them we will need the full armada." Awakening. The Arsenal Admiral William Jackson stood in the Strategic Command Center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The massive underground complex, carved from solid granite, housed Earth's military command structure. Wall-sized screens displayed fleet movements and battle analytics from the Astrari system. "The Thunderbolt performed exceptionally, Admiral," reported General Amara Singh. "Captain Chen's tactics forced the Krell to retreat with minimal damage to her vessel." Jackson nodded, though his expression remained grave. "It was only a reconnaissance force. Our intelligence suggests the Krell are assembling their main fleet. at least 200 warships. The room fell silent. For 2 decades, humanity had maintained a public fleet of just 30 vessels, a diplomatic gesture to ease tensions with species who feared Earth's military potential. "It's time," Jackson said quietly. "Initiate Operation Ironclad." General Singh's eyes widened slightly. "The full fleet, sir?" "All of it." Jackson turned to the communications officer. "Send the activation codes. Wake them up." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations began to stir. In the asteroid belt, massive shipyards disguised as mining stations powered up. On Mars, vast underground hangars opened for the first time in years. In Earth orbit, stealth platforms deactivated their cloaking fields, revealing ships that had been hiding in plain sight. Defense Secretary Omar Khatri joined Jackson at the main tactical display. "The diplomatic implications will be significant," he warned. "Many Confederation species already fear us. When they see our true capabilities—" "They asked for our help," Jackson cut in. "And they'll get it. All of it." On the orbital shipyard, above Luna, Commander Eliza Walker watched as dormant systems reactivated. Enormous hangar doors that had remained sealed for 20 years slowly parted, revealing ships that most of humanity had forgotten existed. "All vessels responding to activation codes," reported her aide. "Power levels at optimal parameters." Walker nodded, her eyes fixed on the warships being revealed. Unlike the diplomatic vessels Earth usually displayed, these were true instruments of war, their dark hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it, weapon ports lining their flanks. "Begin pre-flight checks," Walker ordered. "I want all ships, combat ready, within 48 hours. Similar scenes played out across human territory. In Jupiter's orbit, the Titan-class dreadnoughts Eclipse and Colossus, each over 2 miles long, powered up their main reactors. On Earth itself, factories converted from civilian production to military output. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Thunderbolt, reviewing tactical data from their engagement with the Krell. Her ship orbited Lumina, the Astrari homeworld, while repair crews addressed minor damage from the battle. "Captain," called Lieutenant Reyes, "incoming transmission from Earth. Admiral Jackson, Priority Alpha." Chen activated the secure channel at her command station. "Admiral." "Well done, Captain," Jackson said, his image slightly distorted by the vast distance. "Your initial engagement has given us valuable intelligence on Krell capabilities." "Thank you, sir," Chen replied, "but they'll be back, and in greater numbers. The Krell don't take defeat well." "I know." Jackson's expression hardened. "That's why I'm contacting you. The full fleet has been activated." Chen's eyebrows rose slightly. Even as a senior captain, she had only theoretical knowledge of Earth's true military strength. "How many ships are we talking about, Admiral?" 273 combat vessels, Captain. The 1st, 2nd, and 4th fleets are already underway. You'll rendezvous with Admiral Hassan's battle group within 72 hours. Chen maintained her composure, but her mind raced at the implications. Nearly 300 warships, when Earth officially claimed only 30. The deception had been maintained for 20 years, a feat of discipline and strategic planning that few species could comprehend. "Your orders are to hold position and protect Lumina until reinforcements arrive," Jackson continued. "Then you'll join the main fleet for the counteroffensive." After the transmission ended, Chen found Commander Sharma waiting on the bridge. "Everything all right, Captain?" Chen gestured for him to follow her to the tactical display. "We're about to show the galaxy something they've never seen before, Raj. The real face of human military power." On Lumina, Ambassador Alara stood with Defense Minister Crone in the Planetary Control Center, watching in awe as the lone human vessel repelled the Krell attack. "Impossible," Crone whispered as the Krell fleet retreated. 17 ships against 1. Ilara felt hope stirring for the first time since the Krell invasion began. "I told you they were different." A communications officer approached them. Ambassador, Captain Chen requests your presence aboard the Thunderbolt. An hour later, Ilara found herself on the bridge of the human vessel. Unlike the organic curves and bioluminescent displays of Astrari ships, the Thunderbolt's bridge was angular and utilitarian, designed for maximum efficiency. Ambassador, Chen greeted her, extending a hand in the human gesture of friendship. Welcome aboard. Captain Chen, Ilara replied, tentatively completing the handshake with one of her 4 hands. Your intervention was miraculous. My people owe you a debt we cannot repay. Chen's expression remained professional. It was only a preliminary engagement, Ambassador. The Krell will return with their main fleet. Then we are still doomed, Crone said, his skin darkening with despair. Even your remarkable ship cannot stand against hundreds. A small smile touched Chen's lips. We won't be standing alone. Earth has authorized full military deployment. She activated the tactical display, showing dozens of human vessels moving toward Astrari space. This is only the first wave. Within a week, the full United Earth Defense Force will be here. Ilara studied the display, counting the ship markers. But Earth has only 30 warships. The Confederation Registry is what we wanted you to see, Chen finished. Earth has maintained a strategic reserve fleet since before we made first. Contact! How many? Crone asked, his voice barely audible. Nearly 300 combat vessels, Chen replied calmly, including 2 Titan-class dreadnoughts. Ilara felt her legs weaken. The Astrari, like most peaceful species, maintained only enough ships for defense and exploration. The idea of hiding military assets, of deliberate deception on this scale, was almost incomprehensible. Why? She asked finally. Why hide such power? Chen's expression softened slightly. When a species evolves on a death world, fighting predators and disasters daily, the rest of the galaxy tends to view them with fear. We didn't want to be seen as a threat. She turned back to the tactical display. But now, that same power will be used to protect your people. In the void between stars, the Krell fleet gathered for war. High Commander Vexar stood before the Dominion's ruling inner circle. 7 Krell elders whose exoskeletons had darkened with age to a deep obsidian. The council chamber was dimly lit, illuminated mainly by data screens showing the recent battle. The inner circle watched in silence as a single human vessel forced 17 Krell ships to retreat. Explain this failure, demanded Supreme Leader Kral, his voice a harsh clicking that echoed through the chamber. Vexar stood straight, showing no fear despite the gravity of the situation. The humans possess capabilities we did not anticipate. Their technology is impressive, but more concerning is their tactical flexibility. Elaborate, ordered Kral. Vexar activated a holographic display showing detailed analysis of the battle. Most species fight according to predictable patterns derived from their evolutionary environment. The humans do not. They adapt in real time, changing strategies mid-battle. Another circle member leaned forward. How is this possible? Their neural architecture, Vexar explained. Humans evolved as both predator and prey on a high-gravity death world. Their brains process combat situations differently than ours. The circle digested this information in silence. Finally, Kral spoke. Your recommendation? We must commit our full military strength, Vexar said without hesitation. The humans represent the first true threat to Krell dominance we have ever encountered. Kral rose, towering over the others. Begin full mobilization. Every ship, every warrior, every weapon. We will crush these Deathworlders and show the galaxy that the Krell Dominion cannot be challenged. Throughout Krell territory, the mobilization, order spread, production facilities increased output, reserve units were activated, occupation forces were recalled from conquered worlds and reassigned to frontline duties. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Krell prepared for a war they weren't certain they could win. Admiral Fatima Hassan stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant, the flagship of Earth's first fleet. At 53, Hassan had spent her entire career preparing for a conflict that many hoped would never come. Now, as her ship led a formation of 60 warships toward Astrari space, she felt the weight of humanity's future resting on her shoulders. "All vessels report ready for transit," announced her executive officer, Commander Davis. Hassan nodded. "Proceed with jump sequence." Space distorted around the fleet as 60 ships simultaneously activated their FTL drives. When they emerged near the Astrari home system, they found the Thunderbolt waiting for them. "Captain Chen," Hassan greeted as Chen's image appeared on the main screen. "Excellent work with your initial engagement." "Thank you, Admiral," Chen replied. "But the Krell are gathering their main fleet. Long-range scans suggest over 200 vessels." "I know," Hassan said, her expression resolute. "That's why the second and fourth fleets are only 12 hours behind us." Chen's eyes widened slightly at the implications. "The entire defense force?" "Nearly. Earth itself remains protected, of course," Hassan explained. "But yes, this will be the largest deployment of human military power in our history." As the conversation ended, Chen couldn't help but marvel at what was unfolding. Humanity had hidden its true strength for decades, playing the role of a minor power while secretly building one of the most formidable fleets in the galaxy. Now, that fleet was awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. Guardian Species, the Eye. Nexus System became the battlefield for the largest space conflict the galaxy had ever witnessed. Two massive fleets faced each other across the void, the Krell Dominion with their rigid formations and overwhelming numbers versus the combined human fleet, now joined by volunteer vessels from species who had suffered under Krell oppression. Admiral Hassan directed operations from the bridge of the Valiant, coordinating the movements of nearly 300 human warships. The tactical display showed the complex dance of vessels across the system, human ships moving in seemingly chaotic patterns that nevertheless followed a precise strategy. "All task forces report status," Hassan ordered. "Task Force Alpha has secured the outer planets," reported her tactical officer. "Task Force Beta is engaging the Krell fleet at the fourth planet. Task Force Gamma has surrounded the Krell command. Station." Hassan studied the three-dimensional battle map floating before her. The Krell maintained their traditional formations, rigid and predictable. In contrast, human vessels exploited every dimension of space, attacking from angles the Krell tactical systems couldn't predict. "Begin final approach," Hassan ordered. "All ships, weapons free. Across the battlefield, human vessels unleashed their full arsenal. Kinetic strike weapons, essentially massive metal rods accelerated to relativistic speeds, carried enough energy to punch through any defense. Directed energy weapons carved through Krell armor. Tactical nuclear devices created electromagnetic pulses that disrupted Krell coordination networks. The Thunderbolt led a group of 30 ships against a Krell defensive line. Captain Chen stood calmly on her bridge, issuing orders as her vessel shook from enemy fire. "Target their flagship," Chen commanded. "All forward batteries, fire when ready." The Thunderbolt's main guns fired simultaneously, sending hypervelocity projectiles toward the Krell command ship. The impacts created explosions visible from planets away. On the Krell command station, Supreme Leader Kral watched with mounting horror as the defensive line collapsed. Entire ships were being destroyed faster than he could track. "How is this possible?" he demanded of Vexar, who now served as his chief military advisor. "Their species is barely 1,000 years into space travel. We have conquered 100 worlds." Vexar, who had studied humans more thoroughly than any other Krell, had finally understood what they were facing. "They evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day," he explained quietly. "Where we developed technology to avoid competition, they developed technology through competition." He gestured to the tactical display showing human ships executing maneuvers no Krell vessel could match. Every weapon in their arsenal was first used against other humans before being turned outward. Their entire history is written in the blood of their own kind. As the station's superstructure shuddered under another barrage, Krall made a decision no Supreme Leader had ever made before. "Initiate surrender protocols," he ordered. "The Dominion cannot withstand further losses." The ceasefire signal spread across Krell communication channels. Their warships powered down weapon systems and assumed non-threatening positions. On the bridge of the Thunderbolt, Captain Chen received the surrender transmission. "Verify authenticity," she ordered, unwilling to risk a trap. "Confirmed, sir," responded Commander Sharma. "All Krell vessels are standing down." A moment of silence fell across the human fleet. Victory had been achieved, but at significant cost. Dozens of Earth ships had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Thousands of crew members had been lost. Chen turned to her communications officer. "Signal Admiral Hassan, the Krell have surrendered." 3 days later, representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations gathered aboard the neutral diplomatic vessel Promise of Dawn. The Galactic Confederation, having initially feared human military potential, now recognized they owed their continued freedom to it. Ambassador Alara, speaking for the Confederation, addressed the assembled delegates. "For too long, peaceful species have suffered under the expansion of aggressive empires. Today marks the beginning of a new era, one where the strong protect the vulnerable rather than exploit them." Admiral Hassan signed the peace treaty on behalf of Earth. The terms were straightforward. The Krell would withdraw from all conquered territories and pay reparations. In exchange, their homeworlds would remain sovereign. As the ceremony concluded, Hassan found herself approached by a young Astrari diplomat. "Your species frightens many in the galaxy," the diplomat said honestly. "The way you fight, it's unlike anything we've seen before." Hassan nodded in understanding. "Humanity evolved in harsh conditions. We learned to fight before we learned to talk." "Then why help us?" the Astrari asked. "You could have conquered the galaxy yourselves." "Because we also learned something equally important," Hassan replied. "When to stop fighting. The true measure of strength isn't in conquest. It's in protection." 6 months later, Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly established Earth Embassy on Lumina. The Thunderbolt was docked at the orbital station above, undergoing repairs after the hard-fought campaign. Commander Sharma joined, her looking out at the alien city below. "Hard to believe it's over," he said. "The Krell were supposed to be unstoppable." Chen smiled slightly. "Nothing is unstoppable when humans decide to get involved." "True enough," Sharma agreed. "But now comes the harder part." "Peace?" Chen asked. Sharma nodded. "The galaxy has seen what we can do in war. Now they're watching to see what we'll do in peace." Chen considered this. Throughout human history, great military powers had often become conquerors. But Earth had chosen a different path. Their ships now patrolled former Krell territories, not as occupiers, but as guardians. "I think we'll surprise them," Chen said finally. "We're good at that." "Speaking of surprises," Sharma said, checking his tablet, "new orders from command. The Thunderbolt is being assigned to lead a new task force. We're to establish a rapid response fleet at the borders of known space." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Expecting more trouble?" "Just being prepared," Sharma replied. "As Admiral Hassan says, the best way to keep peace is to be very, very good at war." Chen nodded in agreement. Humanity had revealed its true military might to the galaxy, and that could never be undone. Some species would fear them, others would seek their protection, but no one would ever again mistake humans for a weak or passive species. As she looked out at the alien sunset, Chen thought about Earth's new role in the galaxy. The Deathworlders had been called upon to help, and they had answered, not as conquerors, but as guardians. They had unleashed their fleet not to dominate, but to defend. In the years that followed, Human warships became a common sight near vulnerable worlds and disputed territories. Their mere presence often prevented conflicts before they began. The species that had evolved through conflict had found its true purpose, ensuring others could evolve without it. The galaxy had called for help, and the Deathworlders had answered.